So today we're going to be writing, if my dogs will allow it, writing with notes from a single source. And when we start out, we're going to take our notes, we're going to try and do one note per sentence. Okay, so let's start out here. So, and up here we're going to have our topic. We'll decide that after we've written our notes. Okay, and in this case it'll be pretty standard what our topic will be. So let's do our number one here. We'll look at this sentence. The French and Indian War was a major war fought in the American colonies between 1754 and 1763. So the thing is, we want to take just a short note, 3 or 4 words. Okay, and so we might just say maybe major. So we want to say it's major, and then the dates, 1754, 1763. Okay, so the idea is we take our notes, and when you do that, then you're going to write it differently than what was written there. And so what happens? So second sentence, British gained territory. So it was the war. British gained land, if we like that instead of territory. 3, so this next paragraph, the next sentence says, you would think it would be about French, not French Indians. So you might say that, not French. So so we put a comma after each one, not French Indians. So it wasn't French Indians. You might even go to 4 words and say not French versus Indians. You look at the next sentence, and you might say there, French versus British. When you look at this sentence, you see that actually that's that sentence level adverb that means the number 3. So you might even try and remember that and start thinking, oh, I'm going to maybe do a 3. So our note will say, French, British, enemies. I'm going to be thinking about, maybe I can do that actually as a number 3 sentence. And then part 7 years. So I'm going to do, when I look at the next one, I'll say the French Indian War is part of the 7 Years' War. Okay, so I'll say part, and then 7 Years' War. But what the heck is that 7 Years' War? And that was, so the 7 throughout world. And then the last sentence there, the portion of the 7 Years' War fought in North America is called the French and Indian War. Okay, so I'll say North American. Okay, so now I have my notes, and at this point I can forget about what was written here, but I do know what my topic is. Okay, so I might have my topic is oh, I forgot a sentence. Sorry, I forgot. Both sides had American Indian allies. So I'll go in here and add that in. Indian allies. Okay. So now I've got that. So I'm going to have 8 sentences, so all 10 sentences altogether. Topic. So my topic is going to say something about French, British, Indian allies. Okay, so now I've got my notes. And at the end, I'm going to have to think of a clincher sentence, something that resumes what I was thinking. Okay, so let's start writing our paragraph. So we'll write our topic sentence, and we'll write something like, the French and British fought a war with both sides having Native American allies. Okay, so now if we look over at our checklist, we'll think, well, what could I do there that's from here, from this list? Strong verbs, descriptive adjectives, ly adverbs, dual verbs, or any of these sentence types. So I have to think about that. Okay, so our next sentence from the notes, this major war, so it was a major war, and it took place between so I'm going to try number 2. So I say number 2 would be from 1754 until 1763, this war was waged. This war was waged. So there's a number 2 sentence. And then we look back, and our next sentence is going to have British gained land. So the British gained land. Let's see what we can do with that. We could maybe use a because clause. And so we'll say, because of this war, the British gained land. And if we look at what we're supposed to do for that, we're supposed to underline it. So let's go there and underline it. So I'll say, okay, well, underline it. Because of this war, the British gained land. And so remember, the third sentence, we thought we might be able to do a number 3, not French versus Indians. So we'll say number 3, so say, actually, this war was not the French versus the Indians. So then we think about, well, what's our next sentence? So we have the French and British were enemies. So we could have another number 2. In fact, the French and British fought in this war. Next note, both Indian allies. Okay, so say our sentence would be both sides had Indian allies. Then we go up to our next sentence, Part 7 Years' War. So you remember that was this war, the French and Indian War, was part of a bigger conflict called the French and Indian War. So this war is part of a bigger conflict called the French and Indian War. Okay, that was our sixth sentence. No, it was part of a bigger conflict called the 7 Years' War. I get my war straight here. So French and Indian War was part of a bigger conflict called the 7 Years' War. And so when we look at seven throughout world, the 7 Years' War took place throughout the world. And then the last sentence, North American part of the war in North America is called the 7 Years' War. Okay, so now we've got this. So we have our topic sentence, and let's give it a title. Okay, so we can give a title to this, and naturally, French and Indian War. Call that our title. Now we need this clincher sentence. So if you go down here, you see this clincher sentence. Underline words in the last sentence of your paragraph that refer to the topic sentence. So our topic sentence, so we need to mention the French and British having Native American allies. So this, you might tie it together by saying this more, it might better be called the French and British War with help from their Native American friends. A much longer title. Okay, so that's our clincher sentence. And you see how in the clincher we use French and British and war and Native American. So that's what you want to do when you write so we're not writing a story here, we're trying to transfer information. So we're saying what we did in the topic, we also mention at the end. Okay, so now when you look through, we say we have a 2, a 3, but I don't see a 4 and a 5. So let's see if we can make a 4 and a 5. So we might combine some sentences to do this. So we might put these two together with the number 4. So taking place throughout the world, remember we always need a comma when we do that number 4, taking place throughout the world, okay? The 7 Years' War place throughout the 7 Years' War is called French and Indian War. in North America. Okay, so now we need a number 5. So let's see if we can do that with this number 2 sentence here. In fact, the French this war was not the French and the Indians. Well, that's pretty, we like that number 2. In fact, the British fought in this war. Oh, but then we look, both sides had Indian allies. That's a number 6, so maybe we'll let that be a number 6. Okay, so I'm struggling a little bit. So where can I put my number 5 sentence? And I'm looking and I see, oh, I have found instead of fought. And so I'd have to just stick a number 5, and sometimes, so I should have planned better. Okay. I might just say, when this war was fought, it was part of a bigger war. And there's my number 5. Not a very good one. When this war was fought, it formed part of a bigger conflict called the 7 Years' War. Okay, so now if we go back to our checklist, you look and you'll see you want to add also your strong verbs, descriptive adjectives, etc. But I'll end this now so it doesn't get too long.